September minutes are already coming out. There's a copy for you.
Yeah, thank you.
Can I speak with you just a second? Non-business here.
Yes. September was, we had 9 district meetings across the state.
Bunching them all together in 1 month.
Didn't know what. It's the exact same meeting, they're just in different districts, so the presenters, you know,
So there are only a handful of you that have to.
yeah, all the officers. Not exactly, they like to know.
Oh, there you go.
You just leave the door
Oh,
open.
okay.
All right. And everybody who needs a copy, get a copy of the minutes. I got an extra copy if somebody needs one.
May I obtain a copy? You
Um,
got the agenda
all right.
somewhere?
Agenda. Copy of the agenda. I know. I got an extra copy. Yeah, I don't know. I've never had anybody ask for one, so.
Not surprised.
Welcome to our meeting. And you are?
Citizen
I'm sorry.
Chris Throgmorton.
Oh, glad to have you with us, Chris. Okay, is there any, anybody read the minutes and has time to go over it? Is there any corrections to the minutes?
And we accept the minutes?
Second. Second? Okay, the minutes are approved. I'm going to let Mr. Biege address concerns of Mr. Mamazza. I'd like to hear him better.
Okay, I talked to your lawyer yesterday, and we have 2 disciplinary matters pending. One, which I think will be deferred to the chief.
I thought this was going to be covered under executive session.
Well, I don't, no evidence can be presented today. This is a procedural issue, okay? We're not going to handle anything today, okay? I learned that there was a suspension on your second disciplinary matter. Your first one is just kind of hanging there, it's in stasis, okay? The second one, concerning the accident, there was a recommendation by the traffic commission, I think.
Yeah, board review.
Okay, they came to a conclusion, but that never went to the full board, okay? So what we did, any suspension, we negated that, because that's really in stasis until after you come back to full duty, okay? You with me? Okay, so that disciplinary matter is pending, and it will remain pending until you come to full duty, because you have a right to a hearing and request a hearing, you have a right to an attorney, and we want to make sure that your rights are fully recognized, okay? So procedurally, they did it wrong with the past chief.
Right.
And I undid that. Now, I have a
I
question.
don't understand how you can undo a suspension. I was suspended.
Well,
No, I went in front of the chief, he handed me a letter, said I was suspended. He took my badge, he took my gun, he took my key fob, they locked me out of the building, said I was not allowed to use the building whatsoever unless I was in the front lobby. I was suspended. I served 15 days suspension.
okay. And that's not going to go away. We're going to recognize that, but that was done improperly without the Merit Commission's review and your right to a hearing.
But I received a letter from the Merit Commission, my suspension.
I understand. not here to argue with you, I'm here to tell you what the status is, okay? Because you're reinstated, as soon as I talk to the assistant chief and learn of it, you're reinstated, okay? And that reinstatement will remain until such time as you come back to active duty. And you've had an opportunity to have a hearing and a right to present evidence, okay? And we'll have to figure out how we're gonna handle the 15 days that occurred with the last chief, okay? So the best I can do is tell you, as soon as I learned about it, we undid it. And so you got your badge and your gun, you have access to the building, and your email and everything else now, right?
Yes.
Okay. So we're gonna have to handle what occurred when you're back on active duty. You with me? Okay, now I talked to your lawyer yesterday, and he understands where we're at. Okay, and it's just gonna have to remain pending until you come back to work. Okay?
So what is gonna happen with Captain Klimczak for violating policy?
That's an issue that the board or the new chief's gonna have to take a look at. Okay? It's not gonna be relevant necessarily to your proceedings and your
But it is
actions
relevant
pending.
because this has been an ongoing issue in regards to me. Constant harassment and creating a hostile work environment for me.
If you wanna file a complaint, there's a process for
I
that.
know that.
Okay.
I'm in the process of that. And I'm in the process of filing agreements.
Okay.
But if I'm gonna be held to a standard and when I violate policies, shouldn't everybody else be held to the same standard?
I'm not disagreeing with you. I wanna make sure the Merit Commission is following procedure. Okay? And if you feel that you weren't treated fairly, you have a grievance procedure for that.
Right.
But I want to make sure we handle each thing, each matter procedurally correct. And if it rises to the level where it comes to the Merit Commission, then it will.
So how did this original 30-day suspension come about? Mr. Klimczak came to the Merit Commission and recommended a 30-day suspension, correct?
Look, that is an evidentiary issue that needs to be tackled in our hearing. Okay? Because I want to make sure your rights are protected and you have an attorney. So I don't want to get into any substantive issues with regard to your suspension or what came about for your suspension unless your lawyer's here and the lawyer for the department's here. Okay? You with me? I'm not blowing you off at all, but I want to make sure you're protected and the department's protected. And we're doing so where everybody has a right to a lawyer, an opportunity to object, and an opportunity to respond. Okay? Because at the end of the day, the Merit Commission is going to have to make decisions. I'm their lawyer, and generally I can kind of conduct our disciplinary hearings to make sure everything's fair. And at this stage, I'm just trying to make sure that your due process rights are protected and the department's due process rights.
But they've already been violated. I mean, we're already past that.
Well, that's something your lawyer can argue in here. Any of your arguments, or what may or may not have occurred, doesn't disappear. You can bring that up when you're reinstated and when we have a hearing on it, and if it goes forward, because we have a new chief and he may or may not choose to go forward with some of these things. I don't know. Okay? But when and if we have a hearing, that's when we're going to talk about all that stuff. Okay? So none of it goes away. It's just held in abeyance until you come back to active duty. Does that make sense?
I mean, I guess, but
About what?
I don't agree with it.
That's okay. You cannot agree with it. And you can object to it. And you can argue it. When the time is correct. When you have a lawyer and when the department has a lawyer to make sure we're doing it in a fair manner. Okay? So, our procedural status is any disciplinary matter is on hold, held in abeyance until such time as you return to active duty. When you return to active duty, any complaints you might have and the complaints that the chief had, the two matters pending, will then be brought forward and we can have a hearing on those matters. Subject to the discretion of our new chief. Okay.
So, if I get this right, the chief has the right to drop those complaints against me, those reprimands, and can drop them to a written counseling, a verbal counseling.
Right, it has not gone to the Merit Commission for review, so it's subject to the new chief's discretion. Okay, until it goes to the Merit Commission. Okay? And even if it continues to go to the Merit Commission, the Merit Commission is, of course, going to take into account the new chief's recommendations. Okay?
But I will get the 15 days. If the suspension does come, I will get those 15 days.
That's for them to decide. Okay, I know you want answers today, and I can appreciate that, but they're gonna have to make a decision at some point. Okay? And whatever they decide to do is gonna come after you and your attorney have an opportunity to present evidence. Okay? I don't wanna just assume that the 15 days is credit or not credit. That's something that you have a lawyer, the department has a lawyer, and we want to make sure everybody has a fair shake of things. Okay? Yes, sir.
Do you know how long before you're going to return back to duty?
I have no time for it now. There's a good chance I might have to have another surgery on my elbow, so I don't have a timetable right now.
Do we have to wait until he comes back to full active duty before we can have a sit-down, a discussion?
We don't have to, but if any suspension is involved, I think we have to wait. But if we want to try to get it resolved in between informally, we certainly can talk and talk with your lawyer.
I would love if we could make that arrangement,
Okay?
talk.
Yeah, we can certainly try to get it resolved informally in the meantime.
Sounds good to me, chief.
I just
Yeah,
want to be able
sounds good to us.
bring some things to light,
Right.
stuff like that.
Yeah, because I'm talking from the strictly procedural standpoint and the strict, this is what the rules say.
Right.
But I would subscribe to the thought that there's middle ground, and if an agreement can be reached before we have to kick into the disciplinary rules, fine. As long as the commission's okay with the result. Okay? Fine. Any questions at all?
No.
Thank you.